Rodgers. So Jets are eliminated from the playoffs. Not really news to anyone. They're just bad. But with the team they have now, is this good enough for Rodgers to take to the playoffs next year when he's fully healthy?
Yeah. Yeah.
What you, Sam?
Yes.
I think so. I mean, they should. If they remotivate, but the whole thing could have been like pretty tough on their morale as a team. We'll see. I don't think he should take a snap this year. I think there's a good chance he might, just to be like, fuck you guys, I did it. I beat a torn Achilles, which I'm all for. So maybe it takes like a kneel down if we see the Jets win a game in the rest of the season.
That would be the way he did it. You know what? That is actually at 100%. That's what's going to happen. Like the last snap of the year, they're going to run him out there. He's going to take the knee. Oh my God.
They'll be losing by 15 points and he's just going to take a knee down.
Give him a whole standing ovation.
Oh my God. That's going to be so bad. That's going to be what the NFL wants so badly, but
please, Aaron,
I hope they don't do that.
Yeah, Rodgers should not touch a football for the rest of the not touch football, but should not play a snap for the rest of the year.
So obviously the gaps of the Jets is like, if you can't block anybody, then Rodgers probably not a better option than a young mobile guy who can kind of throw on the run, because you're going to be running around all season.
And that leads to my point for this question is no, this team is not good enough because they need to address the offensive line issue that's been lingering even since the offseason. Like, they need a better O-line for an old-ass Rodgers to be vintage Rodgers, because for sure, vintage Rodgers, he can move, he can throw on the run in any spot, but now he's older and has to be a little bit more careful with himself. I don't care what anyone says. That recovery, that's just voodoo witch work, man. Like, I feel like he still has to be careful when he comes back to playing football, and that O-line needs to be better so they don't waste on this opportunity to play with probably Rodgers' last like somewhat great year of NFL football. So if you're gonna have him back, you need to make sure his ass is gonna be protected. Otherwise, it's just gonna be a wasted season. Because like here's why I think this season failed so much for the Jets. That team was literally designed just for Rodgers. Like a lot of those guys Rodgers played with. You had Al Lazard, you had Randall Cobb, and it's just that's who he wanted. That was the negotiation. Yeah, and Nathaniel Hackett. That was the negotiation to get Rodgers. Like, he wants control, the autonomy of the team. Like, hey, if I come, I want my guys with me because I want things done precisely how I want it. Because he's a very perfectionist guy. Like, he likes to throw on the seams. He likes to throw on the outside. He hates throwing down the middle. Like, he has a particular way how he throws the ball, and he needs the offense and the guys he trusts to follow that offense. And obviously, it did not work out when Rodgers couldn't even throw to these guys once the real season started. And you got poor Zach Wilson, who played better, but he's just like, this is not designed for me. And I just bang moms, man. I'm not meant for this. I don't know what to do here.
He was having such a good life, dude. He loved being the backup. Like, he was normally most guys don't want to be the backup, but he was like really embracing, like, I'm going to be behind Aaron Rodgers. I don't have to do anything this year. And then they kind of threw him to the wolves a few times in a really bad way. But I think that defense is good enough to take them.
Oh, yeah. I like Sauce Gardner. He's one of my favorite defensive players.
If you look at like the point differential, I'm sure there's a ton of games where the Jets lost by like a touchdown or less. And are you telling me that Aaron Rodgers doesn't get you a couple of good, even with the bad offensive line, he makes a couple of those throws that gets you there? I think they could at least be second in the division and then maybe make that 7th seed. Maybe they're not the Super Bowl contenders they thought they were, but I think they could get to the playoffs for sure if they had him healthy for a whole year.
I agree.
I think also as a Packers fan who's seen the transition, it's like the feeling of confidence that he can actually like close out a game is something that I didn't know was there until it was gone. You know, like he can kind of, when he has the rock in the fourth quarter, you're like, hey, we got a pretty good shot of putting this thing away, or like he manages the game so well. We last year went to see them play the Rams at home at Lambeau. And just like the way he orchestrated everything and knew where to go with the ball, like the coaching in his ears was almost secondary to what he was trying to accomplish out there. And Jordan, like, he's getting to the point where he can plays and call stuff from the line, but he's the most penalized for not getting the playoff in time in the league. So he's still learning. But I think, you know, you get the line fixed up a little bit. because that was I think when he was talking about after the first injury, the first game, he was like the whole offense was built around like kind of being able to ad lib off what I'm saying. So Hackett kind of gives him this West Coast style, and then Aaron kind of like creates the offense as they go, I think is how he's kind of described it on his interviews. So who knows, man, if they can figure it out. But like I've also seen Rodgers try to move the ball against teams that really aren't that good on the Packers, and all he does is throw quick screens. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Rodgers loves the West Coast offense. I mean, it's been his thing since because he's from the West Coast, so he had it since his Cal days. So that's just what he's so familiar with. Yeah. All right. Any closing thoughts before we get to the mini game of the week?
Closing
Tough
thought.
year for injuries, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Awful year for injuries.
Hopefully next year's better.
It's the year of the turf, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw out a Super Bowl prediction, just team wise.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Mike. I got one more topic, and then we'll after you. Go ahead.
I think it's the Ravens and the Eagles. I hate the Eagles, but I still think that's like one of the best put together teams. I think the 49ers will get exposed against them. And when the Eagles, we're talking about a healthy Jalen Hurts, I think the Eagles probably win. And then the Super Bowl matchup wise, I'd probably take the Ravens in that one though, because they do find a way to be really good teams.
I don't dislike it. How about you, Sam? What's your prediction?
Dude, that's a fun question. I didn't even think about that. I think the Niners make it. I don't see like the Bucks are a 4 seed. That's insane. I think it's going to be Niners Dolphins just because I think guys like Tyreek and Tua and Waddle, those guys will show up when it matters. They got Mostert too, and Ramsey is. So I think those guys will show up, and that's kind of what it takes to get through the playoffs. Obviously, the Niners are pretty well off too. I think CMC is also ready to take over the quarterback role if he needs to this time.
Yeah.
Mine's a mix of both, you guys. So I got Ravens and 49ers.
That would be a great one. That would be a really great one.
That.
These would all be great matchups.
So do you guys remember that commercial at the beginning of the NFL season? It was a really clever commercial where they embraced the joke of the NFL scripted. It was like who was it? The guy from Key and Peele. I can't remember his name. Where they have a whole writing table. Like, all right, guys, here's the script. So here we're gonna do this and that. And then at the end of the commercial, they're like, well, here is the Super Bowl, or like here is the finals version of the script, and then everyone's like sees it and they're all reacting. What do you think that final script piece was?
Dude, I was probably just blank, honestly.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure, but in this fantasy, what do you think it could have been?
Oh, the fantasy matchup at the beginning of the year was probably just a matchup against a rematch of the Eagles and Chiefs. That's what everyone wanted to see again.
I think it's going to be that the turf was going to win the MVP. That's why I said it's the year of the turf.
Yeah, the year of the turf.
I think it's a successful hook and ladder from Tyreek Hill to Jalen Waddle for a touchdown that makes the Chiefs just look extra bad
God,
and the Super Bowl to win it.
That would be
because they saw in the script, and I was never more confident about the script until I saw the commercial about them making fun of the idea of the NFL being scripted. It's like you guys played right into it. You're clearly scripting the NFL. So I think that's the one. After I saw the Chiefs thing, AJ brought that up. I'm like, that's got to be it. A better wide receiver core than Patrick Mahomes had.
I'm still mad that Jimmy Garoppolo didn't date the Kelsey's mom, Donna Kelsey. Remember, I'm mad that didn't happen this year.
There's still time.
Jimmy G dating Mama Kelsey, that'd be a perfect way to end the season.
Family dinners would be insane.
Damn, that'd be crazy.